RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Nice to see you. I'm just checking my mic over here. All right, thank you for hanging out. This is our weekday get-together. We have our regular Friday show. That's at 8:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you can, just you can do it. Hit the like and subscribe. That doesn't take much. But become a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevlin. That helps keep the show going and growing. It's going to be a great show today, and very excited because in about 30 minutes we'll be connecting with Thom Hartmann on the show. He has a new book, The Hidden History of American Democracy, and I'm really eager to talk to him about it. It's going to be his last in the Hidden History series. And we'll find out what's next for Thom in particular. But also, I've always wanted to talk to him about this, about the American dream. And you know, if you guys have any questions too, put them in the chat, and I'll ask Thom. I mean, now's the good a time as any while we have him here live, because I want to talk to him about what's on my mind. Basically, is what the hell is the American dream? Now, I know what it's supposed to be, but I think that the Republicans, I guess I'll call them Republicans for now. Oh my God, I need to, you know what? I use this cover your root spray and it doesn't look too good because I need to dye my roots, but I bought a spray. Oh shit. I should do that. It looks like it makes my hair look gray. I'll do that. Okay. That's what happens when you try to cut corners. So, okay, what was I saying? So, the Republicans, they've been successful in redefining what the American dream is. Is that how you put it? Changing the definition of the American dream from you can have a decent middle-class life to you too can be a billionaire, and then shit on everyone else. So we'll see what he says about that, what he thinks about that. But the book is great, and it's like all Thom's books. In the Hidden History series, I do believe that they should be in every classroom, and frankly, that would be a sign that the country's on the right track. If the Hidden History series are taught, why can't I talk? When we get to a point where the Hidden History series are required reading for not children, high schoolers, I think would be, because that's how digestible these books are, and they're very succinct. It's like, and if you need a crash course in America and what the F has gone wrong in the last 40 years since Reagan urinated on or trickled on us and told us it was raining. The Hidden History series is great. A great way to dive in. So, and there's been so many. How many? I don't even know how many hidden histories there have been. No, I should know this question, the answer to this. But I know that he's written over 30 books, which makes me feel like shit, truly. So, because I see what Thom is doing, and I'm like, well, why am I such a loser? That's just me. You know, it's not like Trump. Like everything that Trump. Trump is the greatest thing that ever came down off Mount Olympus, I suppose. That's how this is how much I love you guys. I had to watch that rally. Oh, this is why I can't talk half the time, because I spend half the day watching Trump's rally, and then it's very mind-numbing. It numbs it numbs your soul. You have to kind of put your soul on the shelf for a minute. If you have a soul, it hurts. And it really attacks your your humanity watching and listening to him. And also, you know why? Because I'm just trying to break it down as if I'm in my talking with my therapist now, getting to the root, of my feelings, thinking, yeah, what I feel when I'm watching the maggots and Trump talk to these maggots and all of them, like the dog killer, the puppy killer, the one who was sir, every other word, sir, yes, sir, no, sir, bling, bling, sir, bling, bling, sir. These lick spittles, I feel it is like North Korea. We're in a version of, just like, the version of what Republicans want to turn this country into. Yes, Christy Noem, thank you, Jim, my producer on the chat. Thank you, Jim, for your super chat as well. And your moderator duties in the chat room. Keeping the chat room safe from the maggots. But yeah, they when I was watching them, it really hurts my sense of, I don't know, hope too, because I guess maggots would like that. They like when Americans don't feel hope. And no, you know what it is? It's like, yeah, it can happen here, and it is happening here. That's how it feels when I'm watching, and it's really scary, and it feels almost insurmountable. Now my phone is dinging, so I have to shut that off. Why is that dinging? Why are you dinging? Okay. Let me just make sure all the buttons are pushed here. Over here. Oh, shit. The button is not pushed. How the fuck did that happen? I just signed into this, and then it logged me out. Son of a son. Anyway, okay, that's fine. I'm talking about Rockfin. I have I stream to Rockfin as well, even though doing that is a test of patience, because there's a lot of like right-wingers over there, and they're always coming into the bomb my chat or whatever and say, like, you're, stupid. I mean, they really don't have anything to say. It's like listening to Trump. Hold on a second. Yeah, you know what? It's like, and that's the thing. Okay, let me get my brain in order here. They're listening. Well, all right, watching Trump. And what I'm talking about is when he turned the so-called town hall into a music jam where he swayed for 40 minutes while the maggots stood there, and some of them needed medical attention periodically. I was like, the whole thing, it was like watching a cult and their dear leader, and the fact that he was like, listen, nobody wants to answer. Who needs to answer questions anymore? Because the questions were rambling and made no sense. I mean, not the questions, the answers, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And some guy gets up. And of course, he's a Fox News victim, and saying, "Oh, I have a small business. Everything sucks because of Kamala," and because they can't say the name, because that's a maggot gang sign as well. And they have to, they say Democrat Party, they mispronounce people's names, they're like children. So, and that's basically, I mean, you guys know, I mean, I guess I call them Republicans because I was sick of listening to them, Democrat Party all the time. And in fact, I don't know if you saw that interview with Harris and fucking Charlemagne the God or whatever, which is so annoying of a name. Tara the God. I'm going to call myself that. And so one of the guys that I guess is in his crew asked her a question, and he said something about how come the Democrat Party, he called it the Democrat Party. And, goes to show you how successful the Republicans have been in their pejoratives, their propaganda. And it's really gets on my nerves, man. It really does. But so he says to to the crowd, who wants to take questions? Who needs to answer? Nobody wants to answer questions. Let's just stand here. Let's listen to music for a while. Now let's play the game. If that were Harris, they already bash her for dancing on some TV show or when she dances, or when she shows a level of joy that these people can't fathom because they're hateful and angry and ugly on the inside. Hold on. I don't need the music at this point. So, but it's okay for this con man to stand there and sway because he is their dear leader. So whatever he says goes, and it's a mass hysteria. Because, Kristi Noem standing there, yes, sir, what do you think, sir? Well, you said, sir, that we should do this, sir, and now you're like you're literally watching some old man sundown, and this sycophant leading him, trying to, smooth off the edges of how ridiculous this is, and make it all seem normal to the maggots. Yes, sir, let's all stand. And they're doing the YMCA. I don't know how that became the maggot theme song. A bunch of gay guys talking about, the YMCA, hanging out in the YMCA where you can hang out with all the boys. And but I don't know if you noticed, because he is in early dementia, that he can't do YMCA, even though they were trying to get him to do it, because he doesn't know what, he only goes, it's like my father. See, my father had Alzheimer's, so I know dementia. That's why I say it was really pissing me off when the maggots would constantly bash Joe Biden and say that, that Joe Biden had dementia. Joe Biden does not have dementia. Nobody with dementia can stand there and answer questions in a press conference for an hour about wide-ranging topics. It just can't happen. And what people with dementia do is they have certain, especially in early dementia, and then it starts getting worse. They stick to certain topics, and then they go on repeat. And that's what Trump does. He's got a few talking points that he leans back on, that he falls back on. When anybody asks him a question, the guy says, I'm a small business owner. Everything sucks since Harris and Biden. Everything sucks. The whole world sucks, even though we have the best economy in the industrialized world, even though we have the lowest unemployment in decades, historical stock market, right? But that's a lie, though, too. That's the other thing. The dear leader told them that it was a lie, that, all the good stats, the jobs numbers, that's a lie. The everything is rigged. The stock market numbers, those are rigged. And then he told them there was a whistleblower that came out. And did you see that? The whistleblower came out and said everything was rigged. And, he just pulls, it's like J.D. Vance pulls independent studies out of his ass. Whenever he's caught in a lie, he says there's an independent study that doesn't exist. And Trump does the same thing with everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie, but he just lies even more. He talks about a whistleblower that doesn't exist, fake numbers, because these are the people who would fake the numbers. Do you understand? These are the people that, just like they sent their maggot fake pollsters into the swing states to make it seem like Trump is more popular than he is, or that that the margin is slimmer than it is, so they'll have a pretext to cry foul when they lose. So that's what they're doing. But anyway, so as with Trump, that's what he does. The guy asks him, What about my small business? Because everything sucks now, because Harris, everything sucks. The whole world sucks. It's like roaches and smoldering ruins out here. But it's going to be rainbows and lollipops, and everybody gets a unicorn and a porn star to bang on the side when their third trophy wife is home recovering from childbirth. It's going to be brilliant and beautiful if the con man gets to destroy democracy, if he gets to to play the president to escape the consequences for his life of crime. It'll be like utopia. You wait and see, right? So the guy asked him that what can you do for small businesses? What are you going to do? And he's like, we're going to drill, baby, drill. Energy, it's gonna be brilliant and the best. You'll see. I mean, that's all he's got. The same talking points that he'll weave. He does the weave. No, it's called sundowning. It's not the weave. It's sundowning, and he's not very adept at it either. And in case you haven't noticed too, he doesn't even smile. They mock Harris for laughing and acting and being a human being, not acting. I mean, that Trump is a mimic because he's a sociopath who doesn't have actual feelings for anybody but himself. But they mock Harris for smiling and laughing, or when it's appropriate. And Trump can't even fake a smile. He just grimaces. It's like, okay, I guess this is it. This is what humans do. And all right, hold on a second. It's very embarrassing. And then Kristi Noem is, how much more can these people debase themselves? Sirring this con man to death, just sirring him. And he's not immortal. He's gonna croak one day like the rest of us. And I wonder if we're gonna witness the like North Korea type grieving from these assholes. It's embarrassing. Because the thing is, it is like North Korea. In fact, that's what, according to Bob Woodward's new book, he says that he quotes Lindsey Graham talking about going to Marimoron and saying it is like going to North Korea, where everybody praises the dear leader. Yeah, it is. Not that I've been to Marimoron, but I've seen the pictures, I've seen the videos. And I've seen these Trumpanzee rallies. I watched the goddamn Kristi Noem rally in South Dakota. They've debased themselves to levels that, you have to be, I suppose, in this bubble, in this cult, to look yourself in the mirror. It's really embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for them. She's like, and her big, assessment of Harris is she sucks. Because this is where we've gotten to. There's no adulting going on the Republican side, and watching the rally. Hold on, you know what? Let's. I have to tell you, I was trying to grab the whole thing because I have this program that just grabs things off the screen, but I had to stop it, so I didn't get the whole thing. And then I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this to my computer. Oh, and before I keep going, I have to say, thank you, Charlie. Why didn't I thank you right out of the gate from APS Radio News? Thank you, Charlie, for your donations, keeping the show going and growing. And thank you, everybody who are patrons at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. Cheers. I'm drinking out of my horn cup. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. That's all I can say. I don't know. I hope you like the show. Thank you for your, oh yeah, and Charlie, thank you for your donations to the community cats. Got your donation. I used your latest donation to buy 2 new winter shelters for the community cats. One of the pockets of the community cats in the cemetery. Oh, I don't want to tell people where that is. I shouldn't have even said that. You don't say things like that because people are assholes, and then they think this is a good place to dump animals. And I also have cameras there too. So if you do that, I will hunt you down. I will get you. I will embarrass you. I will post you. I will get you arrested if I can. If we find out who you are. Oh, and we will. Because social media doesn't like things like that. You know, people online, they don't like watching people dump animals, you know. It is illegal, but okay. I just had to say that as a disclaimer. Because, you know, working in animal rescue, you never tell people where, you know, these community cats live. Because they're lazy. I mean, what's the difference? Go take the goddamn cat to a shelter. You want to dump it? Take it to a city shelter. You don't dump it in the streets, you morons. Not you guys. All right. I'm talking to people like Christy Nome, who, you know, she couldn't even take the dog to a shelter. It's too much work. She had to shoot it to show everybody how strong she is when they're weak. That's the irony, is that they you know, they're weak. They're weak as fuck. He's a weak bastard, and so are the audience. Now I know that the Democrats have to play nice with them and pretend, you know, because there's a lot of Republicans in the Harris coalition. That's good. That's great. You know, welcome to normalcy. Welcome to decency and being on the right side of history. But, you know, these people, I feel embarrassed for the maggots who are so eager to be the narcissistic supply of a con man with a fake university, a fake vitamin scam. I don't know. And if you saw last night, Rachel Maddow did a thing on her show. It was awesome. Talking about how these Republicans, they're giving excuses that they're voting for Trump because he's a great businessman. Like even the Republicans who, you know, what's his name? The Georgia governor, Brian Kemp, who Trump was literally threatening his life. And now he says he's going to vote for Trump because, you know, he's making a business decision. And Rachel Maddow just eviscerated his business decision with the truth. I mean, Trump sucks at business. Everything he touches, he destroys. And right now, he's in business. He's a con artist. He's a grifter. He's a bottom feeder. He's a bottom crawler. You know, appealing to dumbasses. Why is he selling gilded, ugly sneakers and NFT cards and Trump bucks and Bibles and watches that no one has seen, by the way? Not a single watch has been materialized for anybody. In fact, as Rachel Maddow was pointing out, it could very well be simply a bribery, money laundering scheme. Yeah, you even right. It said it right on the site. The watches are shown on the site are for illustration only, illustrative purposes only. That they weren't real watches. They're depictions of watches. And it may not actually be what you get. And so, makes sense, right? For a con man to do something like that. And a trader, a con man, a trader who needs bribes quick. He got to get around all those campaign finance laws. And of course, and he's also in business with some pickup artist guy. Some scammy, scummy skeezy, sleazy grifter who made a website about how to pick up chicks, and he's in business with him now. Some slimy, scuzzy crypto bullshit business. Uh-oh. Boudica's got the zoomies. Boudica! The pickup artist and Trump. You can't write this shit. This is a joke. And it's a disgrace that anyone is dumb enough to give that thing power. Let me look this up. Hold on a second. Trump. It's and Barron he's got a real live job title like the rest of them. You know, the loser sons. They're all like VPs in the scams. Barron is now like the president of not innovation, something. You know, he's supposed to be the one who's comes up with all the awesome ideas. Let's see, Trump crypto scam with pickup artist. Let's see what comes up. Let's see. Yes. Donald Trump and his family have recently launched a new cryptocurrency venture called World Liberty Financial. What could go wrong? Despite Trump previously calling crypto a scam, here are the points. Trump's new crypto venture aims to sell crypto tokens and operate as a decentralized finance platform. Yeah, just easy enough for Putin to pour in the bribes. And that's almost like they go right into Trump's mouth. Let's see. In 2019, Trump called cryptocurrencies highly volatile and based on thin air. But then he learned that you could grift suckers, that how much he could get by grifting dumbasses out of their socialist security money. Jesus Christ. He called Bitcoin a scam. Who cares what he called? He's a liar. You know, he changes like the wind. Depending on who he's talking to. And the thing that's really irritating about him and the idiots who go to his rallies and cheer him is, and what really gets on my nerves is that, and the corporate media too. I'm sorry, it has to go there. It always does. Because they're the reason we're in this boat, frankly. But they ask him, what are you going to do about this? Oh, yes. He's the visionary. Thank you, Ed. And you see, you know, we're in this together. The VP of Vision. He's a visionary. Right, okay. He's 18 effing years old. Has anybody ever heard him talk? I don't know. Whatever. But the thing that really irritates me is that they ask, they're you know, the idiots who are like on the fence, the undecideds that the corporate media loves to stick a microphone in their face. They're always talking about how, oh, well, I don't know about Harris's policies and where she stands. Meanwhile, Trump, they ask him a question. The answer is always, it's going to be great. We're going to have the cleanest air, the cleanest water. The oil is going to be baby drilled. It's going to be, you're going to have so much money. That's what he basically said to this idiot that asked him, that had a legitimate question. I don't know. He lives in some shithole, obviously, but I don't know what country he was talking about. But sounded pretty horrible. And, you know, he's, oh shit, goddamn YouTube. I hope my stream is still going. This has been happening a lot with YouTube. It just shuts the goddamn browser window down. But yeah, no, the answer is always, it's very juvenile. It's gonna be great. Don't worry about it. I got it. We believe in the cleanest water, the cleanest air, the cleanest this, the cleanest. Everything's going to be the best. I'm going to get that number down, whatever the number is. It's going to, if it needs to be up, it's going to go up. But if it needs to be down, I'm going to get it down. Whatever the number is, it's going to be, if it has to go left, it has to go right. If we have to go straight up or down, it's going to go that direction. It's going to be easy. It's the easiest deal you can make. Doing that number, making that number fly or slide or whatever it has to do, it's going to do it. Don't you worry. You'll see. Good question. Good question. Get the I mean, is this a mass hysteria? Are we in some kind of psycho timeline that we can't wake up from? Because that's what it feels like sometimes. We're living in bizarro world. And what's really depressing, it's sort of like in 2016. The reason I couldn't get out of bed the next morning after Hillary Clinton lost despite receiving the most votes, it was the realization of how stupid and racist a lot of people in this country are. And that hasn't gone away. This is a problem. And it is the problem of, I think, a lot has to do with education and the media. It's the problem of the media caused this. Because these people are not getting their ideas. They're not, what do you think? They're not reading the hidden history books. They're not reading any books, by the way. They're not even reading the goddamn New York Times bestsellers from C.J. Pearson or Tommy Lauren. The bullshit bestsellers. They're not even reading them. They're not reading The Art of the Deal. Give me a break here. Or any book. They're not reading books. They're getting their ideas from the media. And now here's something that annoyed me today on a couple of things. Let me see. Here's what I'm talking about. Here's Vaughn Hilliard interviewing some Trumpanzees. Soon we have to. Whoops! Wait, wrong button. What am I doing? Where's my eCam? Where's my eCam? Work with me, eCam. Come on! Why isn't it fucking playing? Hold on, guys. I gotta watch the clock here. Okay. Come on. No. Wrong button. What is happening? That's what the audience is saying. What the hell is happening? Don't worry, guys. It's going to be great. It's going to be the best. You'll see. It's going to be the cleanest water, the cleanest air.
People that were all
all right, so he's interviewing these Trumpanzees, and let's just get to right here.
They're waking up. Business owners like myself are tired of him getting ostracized by 34 felonies for doing nothing illegal.
Some of the volunteers were telling me that they have a grassroots organization of 600 volunteers that have been door knocked.
Okay, I just got to put an end to that. What? I don't know if you guys picked it up, but what's really irritating right there, did he correct the woman or the audience? Forget the woman. She's a lost cause. I'm tired of him being what did you say? Ostracized, vilified.
They're waking up.
Than they were even 4 years ago.
They're waking up. Business owners like myself are tired of him getting ostracized by 34 felonies for doing nothing illegal.
For doing nothing illegal. Now, no, he was convicted by a jury of his peers, including he had to go through many juries. He had to go through a grand jury even to get an indictment. So it's not just that jury. There are 34 felony counts that have to go through a whole judicial process, including people have to hear the indictment. They have to order the indictment. Yes, you could take this to trial. This guy's a goddamn grifter. He's committing fraud. He's creating business documents to cover up payments to a porn star. And it's par for the course. But the thing is, it's on the corporate media, and they say nothing. They just allow these people to lie. And he says nothing. Why would you, of all the clips when you're interviewing the Trumpers, the Trump cult, why would you take that clip? I'm tired of him being ostracized for 34 felony counts when he did nothing illegal. That's when you say, well, he did do something illegal, and he was convicted through a judicial process that included a jury of Americans that found him guilty. Now back to you in the studio. And even if you don't want to, because you're trying to be nice to the lady, you feel embarrassed, you don't want to embarrass her, then when you turn to the studio, you say, obviously the woman was misinformed. Trump was found guilty. It's not that he didn't do anything illegal. That's why he was found guilty, because he committed fraud. And he committed crimes and is a convicted felon and also a convicted rapist. Yes, and you're right on the chat. Ed, she has no idea what ostracize means. Exactly, that too. But ostracized, what is he? He's being shunned by his peers? I wish. He's being shunned? Who's shunning him? Who's keeping him outside of the community? Certainly not you. Oh, jeez Louise. But that's what I'm talking about. This corporate meeting. Should I call Tom now? It's 9:28. All right, I'm a little nervous, as always. It's a lot of pressure on a little girl like me. I'm just a girl. Now I'm interviewing an icon of liberal, of everything that's good. Right? Where's my thing? He's a Renaissance man, a progressive media icon, the host of the Thom Hartmann program, #1 progressive radio talk show in America. Puts me to shame. He is a prolific author, penned over 34 books across 17 languages, covering topics from politics to economics to psychology to anthropology. He's a New York Times bestseller for real, not a fake type where you buy in bulk and then you have to have an asterisk after the New York Times bestseller. He's a guest on major TV networks. He provides his insightful commentary about political events, political issue and current events. Oh, Jesus Christ. He has a thriving Substack newsletter called the Thom Hartmann Report, which offers daily analysis on politics, economics, science, and pressing political news. He is a trained psychotherapist and worked in international relief efforts. Why was I born? And this is his last in the whole Hidden History series. Unfortunately, we'll never know. Could be a revival. Or maybe going in a different direction, another series. All right, let's call him up. How do I look? How's my spray? Not too good, right? Whew, I gotta breathe. I'm all right. I'm an idiot. I'm just acting silly. Okay, where is my Tom? My little Tom. I'm just breathing. Why am I breathing so? I'm trying to get a good breath in. That's what happens when I get nervous. Like I can't get my breath. Okay. Why do I do this to myself? I'm just kidding. I'm trying to make sure. Do I have the right one? Okay, let's do this. Thom Hartman. Oh,
Hey, Tara.
hello. Thank God I had the right number. I had two Toms in my list there. I didn't know which was which. Thom Hartman. Thank you so much for coming on the show, as always. And I just really appreciate your time. And I know how in demand you are. Your book, The Hidden History of the American Dream. I was talking to the audience right before we called. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, too, I'm really glad you wrote this book and every other book, frankly, because they're so palatable. And what I was saying to the audience was that I really think that they should teach these in school. Yeah, and really, we'll know the country's on the right track when these are required reading for every student. They're so easily digestible, and and they're very succinct. But
You can thank my wife for that.
oh yeah,
Louise had this idea. She's been pitching it to me and to our publisher for 10 years. She called them rainy day books.
oh
She wanted me to write some books that you could literally read on a weekend, on a
right,
rainy weekend, or even just a rainy Saturday.
right,
Less than 150 pages. Well documented and
yes,
easily read. And that's what we did. This is the 10th book in the series, and so all hail Louise. It was a
as
great
always, right?
idea. Yeah.
The woman behind the great man, of course. Right?
She
The great
is.
woman behind the great man. So
She's my
yes,
partner.
I know. You've done so much together. It's amazing. But as far as the hidden history of the American dream, now one of the things that I've always been talking about on the show is that that we have different definitions now of the American dream. And because most people, when you say the American dream, what is that? That what Democrats would say is that everyone should or at least have the access to a decent middle class life.
Right.
The Republicans, it feels to me that they've changed the definition of the American dream to you too can be a billionaire, and then you could treat
Mark
everybody
Cuban,
like crap.
who's not a Republican, but yesterday he was saying, "I've achieved the American dream. I'm a billionaire."
Right.
That's the American dream for some people, I suppose. But the American dream that I'm talking about in my book was my dad's experience. I mean, when I was a little kid, and I remember this, my dad made a living selling Rexair vacuum cleaners and World Book encyclopedias door to door, and we lived in basically a one-room house. It had a separate bathroom. There was an old shed that used to be behind a much larger house that was right next door to it. And then my dad got a job when I was around 7 years old, 6 or 7 years. I must have been 6. Got a job in a tool and die shop, and suddenly he was in the machinists union and he was making a decent salary. And within a year, we had bought a nice little 3-bedroom house in South Lansing. I mean, it was nothing fancy. It was $13,000, but it was a nice little house. It's what I grew up in. And, he was able to raise 4 boys, put us through school, take a vacation every year, buy a new car every 2 or 3 years. And when he retired, he had a pension and he was able to travel around the world. Wow. That's the American dream in my mind.
Yes.
And you could do that on one paycheck in 1980 when Reagan was in office, and today it takes 2.5 paychecks, 2.3 paychecks to accomplish that, which is nuts, number one. And number two, when my generation was in our 30s, we control 21% of the total wealth of this nation. The generation right now in their 30s control 4.6% of the nation's wealth. Wow. There's been a $51 trillion transfer of wealth from the middle class into the money bins of Elon Musk and his friends, of the top 1%, and the Charles Kochs of the world, et cetera. And it's just been a massive theft from the middle class. And so I wanted to write this book to say, here's what happened, here's who did it, here's how it happened, and by the way, this is how we can reverse it, fix it.
Right. Because the middle class did not come about because a billionaire felt like trickling it upon us. It came because of policies, because of government policies that built the middle class from the ground up. And you talk about it in your book about necessitous men are not free men, and name one of your chapters. And it's this, and and what is the other quote? He said, well, this is the stuff of dictatorships. That's how dictatorships, men, that's the end of the quote, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And your point, Tara, is brilliant. It's perfect because when capitalism is allowed to just operate without restraint, it's called laissez-faire capitalism. Leave it alone. Laissez-faire, French. Or we could call it libertarian or republican capitalism. When that kind of capitalism happens, which is, by the way, the history of most of the last 7,000 years of human history all around the world. When that kind of capitalism happens, you end up invariably with a very predictable outcome. You have a top 1% who own 90% of all the wealth. You have a middle class that's only 3 to 5% of the population. It's the doctors, the lawyers, the shopkeepers. And then you have the 95% on the bottom who are the groaning poor. Charles Dickens wrote about this in every single one of his books. Christmas Carol, for example, people don't realize. So Ebenezer Scrooge was the middle class in England. Right. He had a little tiny company with one employee and he was barely getting by. That was the middle class. And he had one employee, and that was Bob Cratchit, who was dirt poor because that was, the bottom 95%. Yeah. So what Franklin Roosevelt, when he became president in 1933, the Republican Great Depression had done so much damage. Only 15% of us were in the middle class by the definitions that you and I are using. And he said, I'm going to alter the rules of capitalism so that we can have a larger middle class. He was shooting for 50% of us being in the middle class. By the way, we got to 65% of us by the time Reagan came into office in the middle class. It's down to 43% now, but because of what Reagan did. But he did it by legalizing unions with the Wagner Act, the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Act in 1935. He did it with setting a wage floor through the minimum wage. He did it a federal minimum wage. He did it by providing federal unemployment insurance. Right. He did it by providing Social Security for retirement and old age. He did it through massive federal and encouraging state support for education, for both primary education and college, so that when my generation was going to college, we didn't have to go into debt. I mean, I only knew one person the years that I was in college who had any student debt. And he was working on his master's degree. Wow. Right. It was the only one. I put myself through, I didn't graduate, but I put myself through college to the extent that I went by pumping gas at the Esso station and washing dishes at Bob's Big Boy and working, every other weekend as a country western DJ for $2.25 an hour. And you could do that back then because 80% of the cost of college was paid for by state and federal money, and the remaining 20% was your tuition. It's completely upside down now. Yep. 80% of the cost of college is now paid by students, and 20% is paid for by state and federal. And this was Reagan's policy.
Right, and this is by design, and it talks about in your book, and I really love the way you broke it down. One of the chapters is on education and how the Republicans have attacked and undermined education, and I really believe that's because education, or public education, is one of the pillars of democracy. They attack all the pillars of democracy. What kind of society can you have with what Romney put it the Republican way when he said that that you should get as much education as you can afford when he was running for president, right? But that's really the Republican mindset, and it's the same mindset that the founders fought a revolution to overthrow.
That's right. They rejected.
Yeah.
The first, Jeff, on his tombstone, he didn't even put that he was president of the United States. He put that he wrote the Declaration of Independence. He authored the Virginia Freedom from Religion, I forget what it's called, and that he founded the University of Virginia, which was America's first free college.
Right. Not for the lords or the clergy, right? It's for average people.
Any white person who could get in. We have to acknowledge the times, but nonetheless, it was a major. It was a revolutionary thing for 1790 or 1800. Right.
Exactly, and this is what I believe that the Democrats need to message more. It drives me insane and I appreciate what Harris is doing because she's talking about freedom, and that's what you're talking about in your book too, because this is what it means to be free. When you, like, as FDR said, necessitous men are not free men. This is the stuff of dictatorship. That no wonder, you know.
You're not free if you're homeless. You're not free if you're unemployed and you can't find employment. You're not free if you can't achieve your potential through education. You're not free if you're sick and you can't get health care. You know, it's pretty straightforward stuff. And by the way, for all those Republicans out there listening, this is the stuff Jesus talked about.
Right. It's so true. But I mean, please, Jesus would be, he's too woke for them, that's for sure. Exactly. So I don't know what Jesus they encountered, but
it's what Reverend Moody said. You know,
no.
His famous publisher of Christian publication, I think it's Christianity Today, and he said, and he's a pastor and has been his whole life, and he said that he's got when he preaches Matthew 5, 6, 7, the Sermon on the Mount, in 25. Where Jesus said, as you do to the least of these, you do to me, feed the hungry, heal the sick, all that kind of stuff. He said when he preaches that, afterwards, he's had people come up to him and say, that stuff is too woke.
Oh,
and he replies by saying, well, that's just what Jesus said. And they're like, well, I'm not comfortable with that. You should pay more attention to Donald Trump.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is how he has, poisoned the blood. He's talking about poisoning the blood of the people. I mean, hey, everything's a projection or a confession. It's really, really shocking how I just, the people that see the conspiracies everywhere don't see the biggest con man right in front of their faces, just riding them.
I mean, it's really pretty sad, actually. And he's running all kinds of fundraisers right now where the money's going to him instead of the party.
Yeah.
His campaign, selling stuff, and all the money's coming to him.
Oh, I know. I mean, what did he,
Leader needs money.
Yeah, like a cryptocurrency. We were just talking about it, and some crypto nonsense, and the everything else, like the NFTs and the sneakers and the watch. I don't know if you saw Rachel Maddow did a thing we were just talking about on the show yesterday about how Trump is not a good businessman because the Republicans are saying that they're making a business decision voting for him and he sucks at business. But
I saw that.
Yeah, and she pointed it out, like the whole watch thing, the watches don't even exist. It's just a big money laundering scheme. But yes, but anyway, so to get back to the book, I mean, the American dream, there's so many things. Like FDR was brilliant, and one of the things that I appreciate is that President Biden, and I know you appreciate it too, like he's been surprisingly progressive, more than I ever imagined he would be.
He's the first president since 1981 to repudiate neoliberalism, to say, not going to continue to play Ronald Reagan's friggin' game.
Right.
Bill Clinton went along with it. Barack Obama went along with it. The whole free trade thing, the whole, let's not really encourage unionization too much thing. Let's, if we're going to do healthcare, let's do it through big corporation. Yeah. Let's not enforce the antitrust laws. Let's not walk on union picket lines. Let's just play it safe.
Yes.
Republicans. And Joe Biden said, screw that. And he's the first president in American history to walk a picket line. He's the first president since 1980 to say, we're going to start bringing manufacturing back to the United States. So the first Democrat, Trump said that. Yeah. Do it.
Right. He never did it. He shipped jobs overseas. Yeah, of course.
And he's the first president to say, I'm going to end student debt, or I'm going to cut it as radically as I can. He's the first president to say, I want to end medical debt.
Right.
In 50 years. Yeah. And it's an amazing turn. I mean, history is going to look back on Joe Biden very, very favorably. Yes. It's going to be, Franklin Roosevelt, Lyndon Johnson, and Joe Biden. And I hope Kamala Harris can keep it going and make a legacy as great as what he has done and what LBJ and FDR did.
I hope so too. And it was very encouraging to me when Biden, when he put up FDR's portrait. All the presidents, like Trump had Jackson up there, of course, Trail of Tears guy, right? Yeah. Mass deportation, right, of native citizens. So, But as far as, talking about FDR, this is one of the things that I believe, he's part of his genius. I mean, and building the middle class from the ground up. And they even said it. And this is what Democrats aren't good at, is taking credit. This is what it drives me crazy. FDR said that, after the Great Depression, he said, yes, we're on our way back, but not because of some turn of the cycle of the market, because we planned it that way. So, saying that this is not an accident, that we're building this economically vibrant, upwardly mobile middle class. It's because we planned it that way. And, I don't think the Democrats are good at taking credit for their successes. Like, even in the debate, when J.D. Vance said that wages are up under Trump, were up when Trump was in office, that was because blue states were passing $15 minimum wage laws.
That's right. You're exactly right.
Yeah, not because of anything he did.
25.
Right.
Yeah, Tim Walz, it's the first time he's played in the big leagues,
Right.
And, he did good for who he is, where he came from, and how much practice he had. He did very good. But he's not, I think you could have said the same thing 4 years ago about Kamala Harris. I mean, her efforts were pretty, so-so. But she's really not going to. I don't know if you saw.
No, she's doing great.
She just took him apart.
Oh, I didn't see it. No, not yet, because we were doing it. I was getting ready for the show. But people were talking about it in the chat.
And Bear had to use a phony edited clip of Donald Trump to try to knock down a Harris talking point, and she would not have it.
Oh, that's good. Like, see, well, it's good.
That's not true.
Wow, awesome. Well, there you go. I mean, she's really, and like you're saying, she's knocking it out of the park, because she's going into the lion's den, and he's just a little snowflake. He's so fragile. He wants apologies for things that nobody ever said to him. It's like he's always got an excuse. I don't know. It's really tedious.
Did you hear the latest cover-up with Stormy Daniels?
I did hear a tease, but then I had to do the show.
Trump's lawyers reached out to Stormy Daniels and said, "We'll give you a big discount," because they sued her and won court costs. So she owes Trump like $600,000. So they said to her, "We'll give you a big discount on the money that you're going to have to repay us if you'll sign a non-disclosure agreement." Oh, wow. This whole thing began with Trump trying to get her to sign a non-disclosure and giving her money to do it. I mean,
it never stops.
And he got convicted of it.
I know, this is insane. But then they think, I was watching that, whatever the hell that was, that rally where he's swaying to the music. Yeah. It's so baffling to me.
I've been wondering about that. My theory on it is that he just didn't want to take questions. That Kristi Noem probably blindsided him. He probably thought he was going to a rally, but Kristi wanted to be the star of the show, so she turned it into a town hall that she could moderate. And he had two questions, and in both questions, he realized he had to BS his way through them because he didn't have good answers. Yeah. At that point, he just thought, screw this. I don't want to answer questions. And, I didn't bring my prompter with me, so let's just listen to some music.
In fact, you're saying exactly what I was just saying. That, see, my father had Alzheimer's, and when the early parts of dementia, what you notice is your father too. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, your mother, right? And but they seem to cling to certain stories, like they always have something to fall back on, and that's what it seems like with him. He really does play one tune all the time, and he goes right back to it, no matter what they're talking about. So because he doesn't have a grasp on the issues. And I really do wish, I don't know if he was, he just wasn't feeling it. He didn't know that they were going to have questions. He doesn't know what he's talking about, so I guess he was just tired of bullshitting, maybe. But I do think, I'm not saying he has full blown dementia. He doesn't. He may have the beginning of it. It's just,
I'm guessing it's somewhere between normal age related cognitive decline, which hits about half of people, as they go into their 70s and 80s. To some sort of dementia, but I don't think he has Alzheimer's.
No, because he's
78 years old.
Right,
And
right.
I say that as a guy who's 73.
Well, yes, you don't
I know
have.
what's coming,
It's no, you're fine. Thank
thank
goodness. Yes, I know. That's one of my biggest fears. Having seen my father go through it, it's
Same here.
the worst, really. But yeah, but yeah, I took the 23andMe, test.
Yeah, me
Whatever. I
too.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't have the gene, so we'll see what
Same here.
happens. That's good. That's good to know. Yes, but one of the things I think about with Democrats, and with the genius of FDR, especially with Social Security. Now, if Social Security was only, if it didn't belong to everybody, it would already be, it would have already been defunded somehow, and it wouldn't be part of Americans' life. But the genius of FDR was that he made it belong to everyone, and I really believe, on top of the media, I believe the media, our corporate media, the Telecommunications Act, is ground zero for why we're in this situation to begin with. The silos of information and why we're so divided. But it's also because the way that these policies are set up, that it's if you're poor, you can get health care, or you can get education, really. But if you're not quite as poor, it's everything is means tested, and what that does is it creates resentment as people who are a little bit higher on the ladder, kicking down on those who really have nothing. Instead of, I see it in my own family. I see, and even people that claim to be Democrats. Like, for example, on the exchange, I have a friend of mine who is, he makes a lot of money. He has to pay full fare for his health insurance. He works for himself. And he's saying, I got to pay full price because I got to pay for everybody else. This is what he says, right? And he's a Democrat. But this is when they talk about unifying the country, we have to unify the country by making, leaving no one behind. Just like public education, it has to belong to everybody. And Social Security, it has to belong to everybody. Everybody in, nobody out. That's why I really wish the Democrats would, adopt I'm really glad to see them adopting the patriotism mantle, taking that away from the Republicans, because they don't deserve, just waving a flag doesn't make you a patriot. That's all they got. They like the symbols of patriotism, but not the substance. But yeah, I just think that the genius of FDR was, I guess in some ways, now that I'm saying it, I'm thinking it may not have belonged to not everybody. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know. I think about,
Yes.
what a time, to be, and I think I really like studying FDR and studying his policies, his history, and
He's a truly great man.
yeah, how because there's a story of how when he lived in New York and Eleanor was teaching in some tenement school, and there was a sick child that needed to go home, and she was like, "Can you take him home?" And that was the first time he had ever gone into a tenement to see where he couldn't believe how people were living, and kind of opened his heart too to see and also when he was in New York, they were hanging out with a lot of liberals and socialists and radicals, and so yeah. But there was something in him, especially when he got sick, where he realized, but he realized that before, that people need help sometimes, and he knew how fortunate he was. In fact, with all those policies you talk about, they were given the New Deal had a trial run in New York when he was governor, because New York was the only state that had any kind of social assistance during the Great Depression.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we had an unemployment insurance and, sort of like a, food assistance and like health assistance and whatnot. So, yeah, and unfortunately, I always think about, like, if he didn't die in that untimely death, I wish the Democrats would pick up the the second Bill of Rights would be. I mean, but
Right. But the tobacco industry killed him.
true,
I mean,
exactly.
Had a stroke in his 60s. I mean, that just doesn't happen often
That's so
anymore.
true.
Unless you
That's
smoke
true.
your whole life, and which is what he.
Right. Well, that's why my father, when he was in the army, everybody got
Yeah,
two,
my dad
two
too.
cigarettes. Yeah, it sounds like we had dads. The other thing I wanted to talk about with your father, he reminds me of my father. Because your father was a Republican, right?
Yeah. Well, he was an Eisenhower Republican. He
Right.
wasn't crazy.
Not a nut job. What do you think
Although
he would
he
think
liked
of
George
Trump?
Bush.
How he didn't or did like George Bush?
He liked George Bush, but he died in 2006 before we realized really nationally, what a scam artist George Bush was, and he still had that kind of leftover love from 9/11. I think my dad would be I know my dad would be horrified by Donald Trump.
Right.
There's just not even the smallest doubt in my mind.
Right. I hope so. I wonder about my dad. I think, because my father, even though my aunt always says, my father had 8 brothers and sisters, and he was the only one that voted for Nixon, my father, out of all my family, because they were Democrats, strong Democrats. In fact, my aunt tells me that my grandfather's his prized possession was his union card and his wallet. And
my grandfather, my dad's dad, was a socialist, actually.
Wow. Yeah, I never met my grandfather, but yeah, it sounds like there's so much in common there, and so it's such an interesting time. But my father, I believe, was really poisoned by Rush Limbaugh. He would listen to Rush Limbaugh all the time, just blaring that bullshit into his ears. And I think that's why there's so like with for example, when Trump was at this Bloomberg thing, and he doesn't he can't answer questions coherently, and if you just got to Google what Sean Hannity said, that after he said that Trump gave a master class to Bloomberg, like this, it's like Bizarro World, right out of North Korea.
It was the best economic interview ever done in the history of America. Yes. That's what I mean. It's so. How is this happening? How? Well, you've got people. You've got white men mostly who hate people of color.
That's it.
Who don't want women to have power and compete with them in the workplace, or who are intimidated by them, pathologically intimidated by them, and who are very, very wealthy and are greedy. They want more money.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a really lethal combination, but that's what makes your Republican media star.
Right.
These guys are all millionaires.
Right. And it really does come down to what is the meaning of an economy. That's the other thing I always think about, because is the meaning of an economy to make one guy very rich? No.
Right.
It's so we can all have a life, live this blip of time and in the best possible way. And isn't that the mark of a shining city on the hill that we?
Yeah, that was where FDR challenged, conventional wisdom about economics and government. I mean, it wasn't a new idea. Adam Smith had written about it in Theory of Moral Sentiments back in the 1790s, but. He went with it. And then Reagan came along in 1980, and his mandate was to reduce the size of the middle class, because Republicans at that time thought that all the upheaval of the 60s was the result of the middle class getting too big and too uppity. And so Reagan came into office, 2/3 of us were in the middle class. Now it's 43% of us. And, because of the things that Reagan did around healthcare and education and everything else. I mean, it's tragic, really. It really is. 40-year experiment that we've been
right. Well, that's why what your whole series of books are so important, just to solidify that, to get that succinctly out there. And I really hope that people read them all. And I do my best to spread the word. I listen to your show all the time, and you're doing amazing. Of course, you know that already.
I think this book is the best of the 10 of them. It's my favorite. It's the tightest, really. It's kind of focused on one thing.
So what do you think, though? Is there hope? Because I get overwhelmed sometimes, wondering.
I'm pretty optimistic, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think the polls are capturing pissed off young people, particularly young women, and women of all ages for that matter. I don't think that the polls are accurately measuring what the turnout's going to be. And when we look at the numbers, like in Georgia, the highest turnout they'd ever had for first day of early voting was 150,000, and it was over 300,000.
Yeah.
I think we've got some good news coming.
I
Now,
hope so.
I could be wrong. After 2016, I don't make predictions.
I know. That's I hear you, because even they were saying that day. I remember looking at that Nate Silver blog, and it was a 90% chance Hillary winning, and then of course we watched it all unravel. 90%. I mean, he should really hang up his hat after that. But
well, between Jill Stein and Vladimir Putin.
Oh yeah. Well, another one. Jill Stein, my God. That's what I'm saying. It's like, what? Yeah. Don't you have any shame, lady? Like Jill Stein again? That's the thing. She rears up.
She's destroying a great party is the sad thing. I mean,
right.
He has a lot to contribute. And before she came along, the Green Party was actually getting stuff done. I mean, the Green Party is almost solely responsible for several hundred communities in America having instant runoff voting, and for a fair amount of green legislation over the years. But since Jill Stein has been running it, their membership has dropped by about a little less than a third, and it's just been the Jill Stein vanity show.
Right, because people see through it, and they don't want to be a part of it. It's a shame. She's really denigrated the whole party. I'm sorry that they don't see that. But for what you were talking about with the polls, I know you got to run and all, but I was reading I saw somebody being interviewed at the Midas Touch, and he's a pollster, and he's saying that. I can't remember his name, but you could just Google it. But he was saying that every presidential election cycle, there are Republican polling apparatus that spring up. One is called Patriot Polling, and they have these all names like that. These are fake polling institutions. Right. Yeah, to increase.
Is they're seeding the ground for Trump's claims that the election was stolen.
Absolutely.
So people will be angry and outraged, and we'll have probably a state-based version of January 6th.
Yeah, that is exactly what they're doing, and they're skewing the polls. They're only in the battleground states to skew the polls, so Trump will have a pretext to claim fraud, and he'll do it anyway. But yeah, they're it's just so shocking how many people are.
It's so American.
Right. But there's so many people who are eager to help him. Like when just watching Kristi Noem sir him.
Oh,
lady, do you have any dignity?
She's got she's still living down having shot her dog in the face.
I guess she's trying to, I don't know. How do you make amends for that?
She has at least one friend now.
Right. One fake friend who will throw her under the bus as quick as he can.
Yep.
Quicker than she could drag another dog into that pit. So, right. Well, Thom, you're amazing. And what are you going to, this is a silly question. What's next as far as...
I've got another week of book, interviews and when it's all done, Louise and I are, and after the election, Louise and I sit down and figure out what the next book will be.
That's
or if
great.
it will be a next book. This is, I think, the 35th or 6th book that I've got in print. So
wow,
it's
I can't even thank you enough. They're gonna have history. Well, history is gonna be kind to you too. So. So is the present, but there'll be college courses. I'm telling you, studying your work. I'm not kidding. I could see the future. Yeah.
Stars of Ancient Sunlight, my book about climate change actually is in some college course.
Wow.
Biology, so.
Right. I read your book even before.
I'm bragging. I'm sorry.
No, brag away. That's great. What was the one, The Prophet's Way? That was the first book I read that you wrote. Yeah.
It's about spirituality. Yep. That's way off topic.
Yes. It's funny how life is. No, I read that when I first got into recovery. I read that book, and it really helped me a lot. So it's just it's amazing to be able to be here with you and talk with you, and yeah, I really thank you. And you're the real deal. That's the thing. You're not, just coming on my show and other shows. Like you really do your part, and I'm in awe. All you're generous with your time, and you're just an incredible person. So I'm very lucky to know you a little bit and have you come on the show. I really am. So I appreciate it. And say
Thank
hi.
you. Yeah.
Say hi to Louise and all the beautiful animals you have. So
Yes. 4 cats and 2 dogs.
yes.
I
All
will
right.
do that, Tara. And thank you so much for having me back on your program. It's always I always enjoy talking with you. Best interviewers out there.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you do a
Thank you
great
so
show.
much. Thank
So-
you. I appreciate that. Really. Making me blush.
It's
All
true.
right. Well, say hi to Louise. I'll talk to you
All right.
soon.
Okay. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
You
All
too.
right.
Bye-bye. The amazing Thom Hartman. How was that? You guys, wasn't that amazing? He's amazing. I can't even talk now. I need a drink. I need a drink of this coffee. Whew. He really is the best. I'm telling you, one of the best. I mean, Mike Malloy is great. So is Robin Kincaid. But Thom Hartman's the real deal. Thom Hartman is the freaking real deal. Coming on this show, my little dinky podcast. Tell me, that says everything. It's like I can't complain about him. I can complain about others who aren't as generous. I mean, just think about it. He did a show today. He's been on interviews all day. Then he comes on this show. He's probably got other interviews. This is what he does. And fighting on the right side of history. Decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. He's for real. You cannot be denied. He's the real deal. Right? Isn't he? All right. I'm verklempt. All right. Thank you, guys. I just got to compose myself. That was almost like a spiritual experience for me. I stopped thinking about my roots for like a minute. I'm only kidding. Right. How many guinea pigs does he have? True, Jim. That's good. 4 cats and 2 dogs. I can relate to the 4 cats. I'd have dogs too. I just live in an apartment. And I don't want to have to wake up and walk a dog, If I lived in the woods, like the Unabomber, if I lived in the woods with the Trumpanzees I send to the woods. Hoo-wee. All right. Thank you, non-useful, for your super chat. You are very useful. Don't say you're non-useful. Blacks voting for Trump is like chickens voting for Colonel Sanders. Yes, it is. And it's so irritating they're just irritating. Blacks for Trump, gays for Trump, women for Trump. How much do you hate yourself, women for Trump? Ugh. Women for Trump. That's where he was at that stupid, what do you call it? When they asked, he got a question about IVF. Let's play that now that we're thinking about it. Do I have it? Jeez, I'm still kind of dizzy from that. It's weird. It was, you know how it is? Like you really admire somebody and then you're talking to them. That's how I used to be with Mike Malloy, though. I love Mike Malloy still, but I know him more. I know him better. He's, you know what I mean? But when I first met him, I was like, hi, you're the greatest. So, let me see. Pardon me. I'm sorry to clear my throat in your ears. Gross. That's disgusting. All right, let's see. Where is this? What was I gonna play? I forgot. There was, maybe I didn't grab it. That's why I can't find it. One of these dumb bitches. Oh, here it is. Oh, come on, man.
Stance on that, and what would you say to those women?
Your stance.
So I got a call from Katie Britt, a young, just a fantastically attractive person from Alabama. She's a senator.
Oh, my God.
And she called me up like
She's so
emergency,
attractive.
because an Alabama judge had ruled that the IVF clinics were illegal and they have to be closed down. A judge ruled. And she said, friends of mine came up to me and they were so angry. I didn't even know they were going, you know,
I grabbed them by the
fertilization.
pussy or something.
I didn't know they were even involved in it. Nobody talks about it. They don't talk about it. But now that they can't do it, she said, I was attacked.
Nobody talks about it.
In a certain way, I was attacked.
I was attacked viciously. He's so used to whining and griping about being attacked. Sorry, I had to do that to get rid of the Skype.
Stance on that, and what would you...
That the IVF clinics were illegal and they have to be closed down. A judge.
A beautiful woman called me up, but I couldn't grab her by the pussy, you know, because she was on the phone. So I grabbed myself, and I was like, "Listen, little girl, don't you worry about your IVF. I'm the king of fertilization." I said that for real on the debate. I'm the king of fertilized eggs. Look at Eric and Don Jr.
Ruled. And she said, friends of mine came up to me and they were,
vicious.
They were so angry. I didn't even know they
Can
were
you
going,
believe it?
They were,
That's what Republicans do to this country. They're so angry. Why don't you go away, Republicans, and stop fucking with our lives constantly? Why don't you just leave us the F alone? You don't want an abortion? Don't get one. Don't tell everybody else what they got to do. Especially when they do F all for everybody. They don't do shit to make kids have a good life. These are people that cut goddamn school lunches. No days off. They vote against everything. Family leave. Maternity leave, paternity leave, days off, nothing. You get nothing. Oh, but if you're a billionaire, it's true. Like we were saying with Thom Hartmann, you too can be a billionaire. That's the Republican American dream, and they've been very successful in redefining it. But we're here to take it back. Just like we're here to take back patriotism. Because we're the actual patriots. We're the patriots. Not the football team. The real patriots. The ones who understand the mantle of democracy. We carry the mantle of democracy. And we extend that franchise to everyone. The powerful, the rich, the politically unconnected. That's what they're afraid of. They don't want anyone interfering with their right to step on your neck. That's why he's like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. That's part of being an authoritarian, a fascist. Don't worry about it. Don't worry your pretty little heads about it. It's going to be great. It's the greatest. It's the best. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. You won't have to worry. Just got to tell you, everything sucks when they do it, and everything's perfect when I do it. What childish world do these people live in? Well, they certainly live in a world that lacks the fundamental maturity to function in a free democratic society. They're racists. Oh, aren't you tired of being called a racist when you know you're not? Well, if you asked my father if he was a racist, he'd say no. But he was a racist. I love my father. But he listened to that pig Rush Limbaugh poisoning his brain with that bullshit. How people were taken, people were getting over. Everyone's getting over. That's the whole scam that the Republicans run on the dumbasses. That brown, that's the whole thing that we're witnessing with migrants. Migrant crime and everybody's migrant is, they're getting it and you're not getting it. They're making it bad. They're taking it. They're getting it. But you're not getting, you can't get it because they're getting it. You can't get FEMA support because the migrants are getting it. All the lies. That's why it's a patriotic imperative to make sure that we have policies that belong to everybody. Universal health care, universal higher education, living wages, everything. We're in it. Everybody in, nobody out. That's the American way. And trust me, they want that too, but Republicans, they use the same scam that they've always used. Conservatives have always used. Divide and conquer. And I think about the beginnings of the labor movement in the United States. And I always think about the way that they would attack the labor movement, the workers. They would tell the white people, you really want to call some N-word your brother? That's how they would get them. And they printed out flyers and things. You want to call some N-word your brother? And of course they said the actual word. But they've been using this tactic forever. That goes back to slavery, In fact, Robin was telling me, but we should, next show that we do together, Robin Kincaid and I, we should talk about that. She knows the story more adeptly than I do. It was when the first settlers in the 1600s, you had the indentured servants, and then you had the enslaved people, and there were more of them, indentured servants and enslaved. So the rich and the overseers and all the ones, in the ivory tower, they were like, how are we going to stop these people from getting together? And realizing that we're the problem. We're the ones with the boots on their necks. Well, they would give the indentured servants a little bit more, freedoms, or they turned the indentured servants against the enslaved, even though they were really in the same boat. They had more in common. The indentured servants, these were the poor white people that were basically sold themselves into indentured servitude. They were enslaved for a certain period of time until they paid off their debt. So what did they have? The others who were enslaved on the basis of their skin tone. But what would stop them from banding together and taking the whole fucking place over? The crown is thousands of miles away. They can't get there from a boat ride that takes more than 3 months. So they had to come up with the divide and conquer. It didn't, it wasn't like took a lot of brain cells to come up with it, but this is the oldest trick in the book. That's what's so tedious about this, about Republicans. They fall for the oldest tricks in the book all the time. For people who are so attuned to the conspiracies everywhere, they don't see the conspiracy. They don't see that con man, the conspiracy of running for the so-called presidency to pretend to be the president because he needs to escape the consequences for his life of crime. They don't see that scam. They don't see the Trump buck scam or the watch scam. Or what about the scam at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. when he was the so-called president? Imagine if Biden had a hotel in Washington or anything, even he had a rental, he had an Airbnb on his property. And all of a sudden, the Saudis were buying up the Airbnb. They just bought it up for the next 5-10 years. That's what happened at the Trump Hotel. The Saudis would just buy floors and floors, so-called hotel rooms, but no one would ever show up. Or maybe one guy, the ambassador. But they would buy out the whole goddamn penthouse suite, floors and floors of rooms. Good way to funnel bribes into the pocket of a grifty, grubby, grimy, bottom-crawling con man squatting in the White House despite receiving fewer votes. He's certainly no FDR. When you think about it, we don't deserve this. We don't deserve a scumbag like that. We don't deserve a parasite. Maybe maggots deserve that. Yeah, they do. They could go F off to the woods. Go to the woods, maggot, with your king. He won't like it in the woods. You'll have to build him a castle. Don't worry, but I guess you'll like doing that. Anything for the dear leader. But, we don't deserve a con man. It's so debasing. That's why I wish, like Republicans, it's like, I wish that they were the only group that felt the consequences of their stupid decisions. But no, they want to take everybody with them. That's the problem. I'm sorry. We're not going back. We're not going back. They may want to go back. There's a lot of them that want to go back. Go ahead. Go the fuck ahead. Just because we don't want to go back, that's what I don't understand about them. It's like, go. It's like, go live in the woods and go back. Live your trad wife lifestyle. I don't care. We don't care. No one is going to tell you can't be a trad wife. Right? This is the difference between them and normal people. No one's going to tell them you can't be a trad wife, but they're going to come into people's lives and tell them who they can form a legal marriage contract with, who they could spend their life with and build a life with and share property and time and their hopes and dreams. They're going to tell you could do that as long as they have an opposite pee-pee. Go away with your stupid selves. And then, or a trans person. It's like, go away. They just leave people alone. No one's just going to go and tell you that you can't have 19 kids and counting. Go have 19 kids and counting in the woods. Right? We don't tell them they can't do that. They can't have their stupid 19 kids and counting. Or they can't, believe that you don't kiss until marriage. Or you have to side hug people. No, but they got to come in and tell others that what they can't do, what makes them feel fulfilled in life. Like, get gender affirming care. This shit they know nothing about, of course. Like Trader Trump, who says that Katie Britt called him up saying, I'm getting attacked viciously about IVF. Well, okay. The only reason anybody is even talking about IVF is because this piece of dirt, waste of human DNA con man, shoved these unqualified flunkies onto the bench by hook and by crook, denying the American people their right to have a Supreme Court pick by the president that the majority of Americans voted for in a landslide election twice. But Mitch McConnell, whose district, who lives in a state that has the same amount of people as goddamn Astoria, Queens, gets to stand athwart history yelling stop, and now we have to watch women bleed out in the parking lots and families not be able to partake. They have the freedom to seek IVF treatment so they can have a kid, plan their own damn lives. No, they're going to come in and say, that's a baby. That's not a bunch of cells. That's a baby. But if you're a fucking baby, you can go starve, right? Your parents can never get a day off to take care of you. You don't get shit. You don't get health care. You don't get... Oh, just find a billionaire to trickle on you. I love these bastards. I was just remembering when we were laughing on the show about the babies. Yes, because wasn't there a Republican that said babies, like a bunch of cells was a baby? And we were saying, got your nose. Onto the Petri dish. Got your nose. Gucci, Gucci, goo.
I didn't know they were even involved in. Nobody talks about it. They don't talk
Nobody
about it.
talks about it.
I mean,
that's why he's like, listen to him. Nobody talks about it. I didn't know. Everybody wanted it like nobody's ever seen. Nobody talks about it. We did it. We did the best. It was the greatest. No, vicious attack. Vicious. Horrible, terrible.
But she said, I was attacked. In a certain way, I was attacked. And I said, explain IVF very
he's so
very
used
quickly.
to talking about how horrible, vicious people attack. But then he had to reel it in a little because he realized, no, I'm talking about, I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about a Republican right now that was attacked by her friends. So, he had a bit of a brain fart there. That's why he was like, I was attacked. Vicious. Well, he didn't say vicious, but he would have if it was talking about a Democrat.
And within about 2 minutes, I understood it. I said, no. We're totally in favor of IVF.
Explain it to me. My uncle worked at MIT. I know everything. IVF is... Oh, I get it. No. We're totally in favor of IVF. See, do you hear the way he talks? This is another thing that sucks, that really irritates me. The way he talks about himself in the royal we. We're not going, well, no, we're, I was reading what Stephanie wrote, we're not going back. And we aren't going back. Stephanie on the chat, for those who are wondering who I'm talking about. No, he's saying, we're in favor. We're totally in favor of IVF. He's had to see Katie Britt, one of his lick spittles, called the dear leader. She needed clarification from her God man, her man-child that she worshipped. I don't even know. What the hell? So she called her God and said, what is, dear leader? I'm getting attacked by people saying about we don't like IVF, even though Republicans are passing laws and their judges are writing decisions that say these clumps of cells in a petri dish are children. And he say, no. explain it to me. My uncle worked at MIT. I'm a genius. We are in total favor of IVF. We. So he had to set the record straight. He had to set the whole party straight. No. See how effed up this fucking Republican Party is? That's why they're Republicans. They're not Republicans. All the Republicans are out of this Republican Party. They're gone. This is a cult. This is this is an effing cult. And for a bunch of people, this is why I can't stand them, besides everything else, is because for my entire life, I've had to endure, and we've had to endure, listening to them cry about things like Democrats, they're Obama bots. They worship Obama. He's a celebrity. He's the biggest celebrity in the world. They just like him because he's a celebrity, right? We've had to deal with this shit constantly. Dealing with these maggots who were, before they were maggots, they were teabaggers, and before they were that, they were John Birchers, or they're always on the wrong side of history, decency, dignity, democracy. But we've had to endure this all the time. Constantly. But here we are. Their dear leader instructs them. No, we're in favor. Now, like I'm saying, say everything you can about Democrats, and we do. But if Joe Biden said something I didn't agree with, we'd talk about it. We'd say, no, I don't agree with that. I wish he'd do this. I wish he'd do that. But he has to tell them, no. We are totally in favor. We're. Because he's their king. And that's the only kind of government he understands. These people don't get civics. They don't get what this country is supposed to be. They don't understand what is the grand experiment in liberal democracy. They get upset by that. Liberal. Yeah, that's what it was called, and is called. Liberal democracy. In fact, George Washington even said he hoped that the United States would forever be on the forefront of liberality. But what do they know? They like stars and eagles.
I came out with a statement within an hour, a really powerful statement with some experts, really powerful.
Really powerful. The way I gave it to Stormy. Powerfully underwhelming and full of shit. Baby, this is going to be the best sex you ever had.
And we went totally in favor, the Republican Party, the whole party. Alabama legislature a day later overturned, meaning approved it, overturned.
Oh, yes, sir, because this is what we need to do with our lives. Instead, we have other problems. So what you do is create more problems. So we can't address the actual problems. So you just keep piling on problems. So the Alabama legislature has to get together because their dear leader said, oh, you better do something. This don't look good.
The judge essentially approved it. And we really are the party for IVF. We want fertilization, and it's all the way.
We want fertilization. I know you do, or maybe you don't. I mean, look at Don Jr. Jesus Christ. Look at Eric. We're totally in favor of fertilization. I'm totally in favor of even Ted Cruz fertilizing that dog of a wife of his.
And the Democrats tried to attack us on it, and we're out there on IVF even more than them. So we're totally in
We're
favor
out
of it.
there on IVF even more than them. which we wouldn't even be discussing if not for these filthy fascists. You know, that's the other thing that really gets on my nerves. Where is this? I saw some other clip where he was saying that they're... Where the hell is this? I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's one of those nights. I'm very happy we had Thom Hartmann on the show. Maybe I don't have it. Because, wait a minute. Where is it? Where is it? Whatever. Maybe this
Through
is it.
really the courage of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do this after years and years of turmoil. Now it's back in the states. We have
and that's
the
not
states
years and years of turmoil? No. This is the other thing. It's, he's their dear leader, but the filthy lies never stop. Isn't this such a degrading experience? Just a degrading time to be alive. With this fucking con man lying all the time. Lie after lie after lie. Just nonstop lie. Just say whatever you think everybody wants to hear. We're on the forefront of IVF. We're totally in favor. Who needs to be in favor of something that you could have left the fuck alone? Go away. And if you don't believe in IVF, don't have fucking IVF. Leave people alone. The world will keep evolving without you. And if you don't like it, go to the woods. Go to the woods and live in the woods. At least the Amish, they live in their communities. They don't believe in things. They don't believe in electricity or whatever. Good. Nobody goes into their communities and says, you got to put these lights on. You better start using electricity. So, go to the woods. But they don't have the integrity to do that. To build their own homes or communities. They want to suck on us. On the entire society. Succubuses. Right? It's like these Amish coming in and telling us you got to live without electricity. I'm sorry. That ship has sailed. The fucking lights are on, honey. You don't get to drag us to the darkness. Back to the dark ages with you. I know you like it there. Where the rich run and own everything and everybody else is in their place. Everyone in their hierarchical place. But that's what it's like. That's what they're doing. That's right, Jim on the chat. But they need blue state dollars to fund their charter schools. Exactly. They can't do that. They can't go and build their own communities where they can just live the way you want to live. No one will stop you. You don't want IVF? Don't have it. You want a school system that teaches the fucking Trump Bible? Go have it. No one's going to stop you. You want to put Trump on hang his picture up everywhere and teach the art of the deal? Then go have it. Do it. Nobody would stop you. Go and, you see these communities. Like the fucking Warren Jeffs and shit. No one would stop you. You can go live. Live in your little world, your little archaic shithole. But they can't. They can't do that because they don't have the integrity to simply fuck off to the woods and build their own communities. They want to drag us backwards. But because that's the problem. The world keeps evolving without them and they can't keep up. And that's upsetting them. That's triggering them. So they want to drag us backwards. It's not about standing athwart history yelling stop. They're dragging us back to the Dark Ages. And it can't be denied. It's not just me saying it. It's not. That's what they're doing. They're dragging us back to times that we thought we left in history's trash bin. But they can't handle it. These people are unfit. They don't know how to mind their own business. Clearly, they don't. They want to know your business. Family's business. People that they know nothing about. They don't know anything about trans. What it's like to have a trans kid. So they just act like trans kids shouldn't even exist. Let them go kill themselves like in the good old days. This is what makes me sick about them. They're sick. They are sick people. And they want to make the society sick. But that's what, this is Trump poisoning the blood of America. America has potential to be, a great country, a shining city on a hill, when we are at our, capacity, or our, not capacity, our doing our working for the best. And I guess they would think that would be working for the best for everybody would be shoving a Bible into everyone's classroom. Is that what they really think? But instead of understanding that they don't live in that kind of society, there's a reason the founders put up a wall of separation between church and state, because they lived in that society. They're not ignoramuses like Trader Trump and his MAGA death cult. They lived in a world run by autocrats where the church and state was intertwined, and they didn't want to create that here. They were students of the liberal age of enlightenment. So that's what America's founded on. Not on their Judeo-Christian bullshit. They only say that. They only say Judeo, too, because they want to sound inclusive. Judeo, please. They hate Judeo.
Voting for it. If you take Ohio and Kansas, it was a much more liberal vote than you would have thought. I think it was 20 weeks, et cetera, et cetera.
Fuck?
A much more liberal.
Fuck you. It's 20 weeks. You don't have the right. Shut up. 20 weeks, cut off. Well, what if you have a catastrophic pregnancy at 21 weeks? Your baby dies in your stomach, so I guess you just carry it to term. That's what they're saying. And I like that Harris, when she's pushing back, and other Democrats I've heard, thankfully, talking about this, when they're like, they want abortion in the 9th month. There is no abortion in the 9th month. There's only if there's a problem. Then if the baby dies inside you, you have to get it out. That's not an abortion. That's saving the life of the mother. And women don't go into doctor's offices in the 9th month and say, fuck it, I changed my mind. Let's have an abortion. I want to kill it. Kill it. Just kill it. The fact that they say that speaks to how much they hate women and think that women are evil and they need to be controlled. It is disgusting. It shows how disgusting they are. So to even say the 20 weeks, well, that's why that's why Trader Trump and the Republicans are like, they kill the baby, they put it on the side, and they say we're going to think about what we got to do with it. Or they have to make the lie bigger. It's not good enough to simply say 9th month or to explain that women don't have abortions in the 9th month, you fucking baboon. that's the fact. And if somebody did go into a doctor's office in the 9th month and say, I need an abortion, get this out of me, that would not be a medical emergency. It would be a mental health crisis. And nobody would do it. Not a single person on earth would be like, okay, well, I guess we got to scrub in. Freaking, I can't stand these. That's what they're like. They kill the baby outside. The baby is born and then they kill it. How much do these idiots love being lied to? You know? They have to love it.
Look, but now it's where everybody has wanted it for years.
Everybody wanted
and IVF,
it.
you had mentioned before IVF.
That's not true, of course. It's the gaslighting. It's what everyone wanted for years. Women wanted to bleed out in parking lots. They wanted to have to fly to other states while they're in the middle of a medical emergency and not make it and then die because they waited too long. Because the fucking doctor said, I'm sorry, I can't do anything because I'll be arrested. I'll go to jail. So you got to flee this fucked up red state that hates women. I'm sorry, you might die. You might not ever have a child again because you'll be infertile if you live. There's so many needless death. That's how, that's a guarantee with the Republican administrations. Needless death. Needless American death. They're not happy unless Americans are suffering or needlessly dying. It's really true. Needlessly dying without health care. Needlessly dying without living wages. Starving. Malnourished. Food insecure, sitting in their own swill in their shitty, poorly run red states with sewage akin to third world shithole countries, right? Fuckers. I hate
Get this question because I believe that's what this is about.
Oh, I hate him. Here's the other thing. Where's another one? Here's another clip of this fucker.
I'm announcing today that upon taking office, we will have an Operation Aurora at the federal level to expedite the removals of these savage gangs. And I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. I can do it.
Of course you will. You know, everything has to go back to 1865, 1791. These fucking Republicans, these are the laws they're resurrecting. Centuries old. Scumbag.
Executive order. I'll have to do it with an executive order. You can do it with Aliens
The reason I grabbed this clip, you know, he's going on about migrant crime. Look at this lower third. This is Fox News, lower third. Trump takes questions on migrant crime crisis. Talk about gaslighting? There's no migrant crime crisis. I know you're way ahead of me. But here's the facts. Violent crime is down. Okay. Even as migration surged, violent crime continued to fall. But murder rates are up in red states because they suck. A review of 2024 crime data from cities targeted by the Texas Operation Lone Star, which buses migrants to major interior cities, shows overall crime levels dropping in those cities that received the most migrants. Can you believe that? Of course. Well, I guess that's a lie. In fact, that is what Trump said. It's all a lie. But what's Fox News' excuse? Trump takes questions on the migrant crime crisis. There is no crisis. They fucking made it up. Migrant crime is, they could say Trump takes questions on migrant crime. Right? They could. But that would not be as full-throated a lie as saying it's a crisis. Like, we should all know about it. Why don't we know about this? The migrant crime crisis. Studies, these are real studies, not the independent studies that J.D. Vance lies about, makes up when he needs some validation, some fake validation for the real lies he tells. That studies consistently find that immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, do not commit crimes at higher rates than U.S. citizens. Decades of criminal justice research have not supported claims that migrants drive up crime rates. A Justice Department report found no evidence that the percentage of unauthorized or authorized immigrant population at the city level impacted shifts in homicide rates or robbery rates. A study of undocumented migrants bused to New York by these pieces of dirt found that there were no surge in crime. There's no surge in crime after their arrival. Trump has made the migrant crime bullshit a central theme in his campaign, often highlighting high-profile cases involving immigrants. See, not that shit doesn't ever happen. But we could play that game with anything. But just think about what he's doing. Just think about how evil he is. And the Republican Party. R? Is it R? Oh, yeah. They're so fascist. It's so disgusting. Poisoning the blood. Migrants. This is right out of every dictator's playbook. Stoking the fear. Stoking fear, constant fear, churn it up, put on the hate, put it on boil, double it up, keep pouring more hate on top of the hate until we're so filled with hate. We can't see that shining city on the hill anymore through the fucking blood in your eyes. How could you see the shining city when your eyes are all beaten and bloodied? It's so... They really need to... I don't know. The future better come fast. I can't take it. It's really disgusting how disgusting they are, Isn't it? Isn't it disgusting how disgusting they are? And
of 1798, we can do things in terms of moving people out. We can move.
Oh, fuck you. Just move people out. Who aren't... Who? See, they're not even talking about undocumented immigrants, and they don't want them to have any pathway to citizenship, that's for sure, because they want to be able to exploit them. They don't want to get them into the fold. Let them come out of the shadows. They want to be able to exploit them, use them, abuse them, then have them afraid of any contact with government agencies. That works out in these filthy fascists' favor. They can use them. They can vilify them, right? I mean, it's like the border bill. Why do you want to pass a bill when we can keep stoking the hate? We don't want to actually have any solutions. It's like, I don't know if you saw Ted Cruz's debate yesterday with Colin Allred, which, God help us, I hope, please let him win. Let Allred win. This horrible Ted Cruz is such a horrible he's the most hated person on Capitol Hill, apparently. Everybody hates him. His own party, others who aren't in his party. Yeah, if Republicans hate you, and you're one of them, yours, ugh. But he's, Colin Allred was really good going after him about, like, he's a danger to democracy, he's a traitor. But then Ted Cruz brings up, of course, trans people. Here's the big problem.
4 times he has come out for men playing in women's sports, for boys playing in girls' sports.
I don't support boys playing girls' sports. I don't.
Who does?
No, stop. Let me speak. What I think is that folks should not be discriminated against.
Oh my God. You're a monster. But, let's attack a non-issue, less than 1% of the population. This is not a thing that's really affecting life in general. But all over the country, Republicans are passing laws so-called protecting women and women's sports. Even that dog-killing Kristi Noem said it in her opening when she's introducing her dear leader. What the hell are you doing, Buddha? And, it's not a thing. It's not something that's really needs so much attention, right? The things that actually need attention never get attention from Republicans because they make shit up. They have to have their scapegoats. Yes, Stephanie on the chat says if Cruz is so hated, then why do Texans keep sending him back to D.C.? Because he's got an R after his name. That's why. Because they don't care. These are the most reviled and repugnant humans. But he's an R. He's on their team. He hates the same people they do. He won't take their guns. Shit like that. Like all the bullshit. He won't let boys play in women's sports. All the bullshit. They buy into it. Well, okay, just looking at the time, before we go, we will get back together on Friday for our regularly scheduled Tarabuster time, our gathering, 8:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you, Charlie from APS Radio News, for helping keep the show going and growing. Thank you so much. And for keeping the community cats warm in the winter and fed. And thank you, Jim, for being a moderator, keeping the chat room safe. And thank you for your super chat. And thank you, Non-Useful, for your super chat. And thank you, patrons and everyone. And yeah, thank you, Thom Hartmann, for taking the time. It's an honor talking with you. Hey, but here's just a little bit, just a little way, just a little story to wrap up the show. This really good show. Where is it? Where is it? This falls, I guess, into the category of, it's the old axiom. Although all Republicans aren't Nazis. Wait, right. That's how you put it. Although all Republicans aren't, is that how you say it? Although all Republicans aren't Nazis, all Nazis are Republican. Well, there was a boat parade they love their boat parade because they like to wave their made in China Trump flags, and they all like to, they like to trigger the libs by being irritating. Oh yeah, actually, now that I'm saying this, something that I listened to Thom Hartmann's show today, and he mentioned, I didn't look it up though. There was a story of some real estate company or some real estate blog. Let me look this up as I'm saying it. That there was a study or whatever, survey. Yes. This real estate survey. It was for a magazine for people in real estate survey, say that the majority of those surveyed would rather live in a haunted house than next door to a outspoken Republican. Let's see. Real estate survey would rather live. It makes sense to me. Live in a haunted house. I'm just typing it. Haunted house than next door to a Republican. It makes sense. We were just saying this the other day. I'd rather live next door to undocumented migrants than Trumpanzees. Yeah, here it is. A recent survey conducted by Real Estate Witch, that's what it's called, reveals that a significant portion of Americans would prefer living in a haunted house over being neighbors with politically outspoken Republicans. Isn't that true, though? Because they ruin everything. It's like the woman who started the whole thing about eating cats because her cat went missing, but it ended up being in her basement. Instead of looking for her cat, she goes and attacks her neighbors next door. So imagine that conversation. She confronts them. You ate my cat. And then when she finds, I think the cat's name was Miss Sassy. When she finds Miss Sassy, she goes back to apologize to the neighbor. Oh, how big of her. What a big woman you are. Mighty white of you. Speaking of Nazis, right? Yes, preference for haunted houses. 42% of respondents indicate that they would rather live in a haunted house than next door to outspoken Republicans. That's great. But, 36% say the same regarding Democrats. Well, that's a lot less. Buddha, where are you? She's scratching at my feet. Let me see you. Where's your collar? You're naked, Buddha. What'd you do with your collar? Where's your collar? Aw. Go get your collar. And then come back. You're naked. Oh, here it is. It's on the floor. All right, let's finish this story. So, although all Nazis... Oh, no. Wait. Although all Republicans aren't Nazis, all Nazis are Republicans. Well, here's a Trader Trump boat parade that was advertised and also attended by Eric Trump. And
there we go. White power. Hail Trump.
Hail Trump.
Yeah. Make America white again. Woo, woo, woo.
Isn't they great people?
We're out here
Only
in Jupiter,
the best people.
Loving it, loving the good weather, blue skies. Woo! Make America white.
Ooh, see? The N-word. Sorry about that. Disgusting bastards.
See that sign, brother. Let me see that sign. There we go, man. My Pillow, 1488. Yay.
It's almost, you would think they're spoofing or trying to troll them, but they're not. These are the real deal. American Nazis. Join the Trump parade. The Trump boat parade. And what did Eric Trump Jr. do did he tell these people, sorry, bud, we can't have you in our parade or whatever? They could have done something. You'd think he'd have some power. Maybe send, you're disturbing the peace here. This is disorderly conduct. But, it's freedom. That's my freedom. Still, this is, you can't flash your ass. There are certain levels of decorum that have to be maintained in public, you would think. But Eric Trump Jr. said nothing. They didn't ask them to leave. They just joined right in with the boat parade, screaming white power, make America white again, hail Trump. So, let me tell you, this is the other thing that I can't stand about the corporate media. Where's this story all the time? Why isn't this, instead of the polls or playing the Trumpanzees that say, I'm tired of Trump being ostracized for being a felon when he did nothing illegal? Putting that out there, even though that's nothing, there's nothing further from the truth. There's no reason that we have to constantly endure the polls, up in the polls, down in the polls, when they should just play these videos. Play, Trump, there's more Nazis at the Trump rally. Because if you're in league with Nazis, if the American Nazi Party is thrilled with you, then you're doing it incorrectly. Then you're not on the right side of America. And shame on you. Oh, I'm voting for Trump because of a business decision? You're a filthy, disgusting Nazi. You should be ashamed. Oh, and here's another thing. One last thing. Here's what really irritated me, speaking of the corporate media. We've played Katie Tur before. But here's
we needed a civil war. We needed to shed blood.
Yeah. So this lady was on. She interviewed this January 6th piece of shit traitor who was sentenced to prison, got 3 years, but was out in months. And when he was there, he was on what they called the Patriots wing, even though they're a bunch of traitors, where all the maggots hung out together in jail and radicalized each other further. Good job, assholes. They should have separated them. They should have thrown the book at these people for what they did and continue to do to this country. And he's threatening to continue to, he's going to be in Washington on January 6th this year, this dirtbag. But that's what they were talking about. So this woman interviewed him.
And he says, yeah.
He's the guy who smoked pot in one of their offices. I don't remember his name. It's escaping me, but whatever. So she's interviewing, this woman interviewed him. And so now Katie Tur is interviewing her about their interviewing the traitors. Okay, so that's where we are in the interview.
Was better in the long run, even though it shed a lot of blood in the immediate. But I wonder, do these folks like him, do they believe in the Constitution? I mean, if Donald Trump legitimately loses and he says people need to do something, how do you square that with believing in democracy and believing in this country?
An excellent question that
You hear that? I find that amazing. How do you square that for believing in the Constitution and believing in this country? Katie, why is this such a new thought in your brain? You don't square it. They're not patriots. They don't believe in America. They don't believe in the Constitution. They're traitors. They always have been. Trump is a traitor. J.D. Vance is a traitor. Ted Cruz is a traitor. They don't believe in the Constitution. Mitch McConnell is a traitor. Katie Britt is a traitor. Katie, what's the dog killer, is a traitor. Kristi Noem. All those maggots at the rally are traitors. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in America. They believe in a sick, twisted, archaic view of a country that they can't control. They don't like, that they have under control, I should say. They don't like this country. They want to destroy it. That's why they want to change it into their dark ages, utopia, where everyone is in their place. Black people know their place, white people know their place, men at the top, women are, trad wives, and Donald Trump is their king. So I find this fucking infuriating. How she's, how do they square that?
How do you square that with believing in democracy and believing in this country?
They don't fucking believe in it. What are you talking about? None of them do. Not J.D. Vance. I'm sorry to scream in your ears at 11:11. J.D. Vance stood there at the debate and lied and lied and lied and keeps doing it. But you don't. How do you square that with believing in America, believing in democracy? He called Trump America's Hitler, and he's fucking funded by a guy who hates democracy openly and talks about it. So how do you square that? How do you square that with a guy sending his pet to run for the vice presidency, who's now saying anything that will get him elected? You see what I'm saying? This is why I want to bang my head against the wall.
An excellent question.
Is it an excellent question? No, it's a question that's about 5 years too late, or maybe 10 years, since Trump came down that goddamn escalator calling Mexicans rapists. No. How do you square that with the Constitution and loving America? You don't. Don't act like this is such a light bulb moment over your head. What the you know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, are you kidding me, lady? Well, this is what we've been talking about on this dinky podcast, Tarabuster. Please become a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevlin. Every goddamn show we talk about this. How do you square it? It doesn't get squared. They don't like America. It's not squareable. They hate America. That's the square. Circle meets the square. To Paul Lind. Ding, ding, ding. They hate America. Trump hates America. He's unfit. He's not just because he's unfit, but because he hates America. And that makes him unfit. Just because you don't like the rules of democracy doesn't mean you get to change this country into an autocracy. You scumbags. You traitors. Yeah, how do you square it?
My editors had, so I called him up one day and I said, hey, do you believe in democracy? Do you believe in elections? Do you believe in the things that are in the American Constitution? And what he said to me was, remember how there were protesters at the Republican National Convention who held up a sign that said dictator on day one? I would be okay with that. So I think there's just this belief.
Did you hear her voice? Did you hear her gasp? Let's listen again.
Would be okay with that. So I think there's just this belief that whatever the problem, Donald Trump is the savior. And I've heard Donald Trump say things like that.
Why are you smiling, lady? What are you smiling about? She's always smiling when shit ain't to be smiled about. I'm shocked. They don't like democracy. Oh my God. All right. Listen. My name is Tara Devlin. This is a Tarabuster. The best show in American history with the best chat room in American history at youtube.com/c4channel/Tarabuster and also at apsradionews.com. Run by Charlie, that has a independent media outlet with other independent media voices, which after watching that clip, I think we can't get enough of independent media voices, because that's just unacceptable. That's just embarrassing, you know? How do you square that? Are they really that clueless, guys? How do you square it? She's finally catching up. How do you square that with not liking democracy? You know, wanting a dictator and not trying to overthrow the free and fair election. How do you square that with the Constitution? All right. Yes, you're right, Stephanie. Their sentences should have been a lot longer. You ain't kidding. Like that lady that just got 9 years. What's her face? The unrepentant maggot. Tina Peters. Yeah, with the judge, the brilliant judge. Yeah, they should all of them. This is the problem with America. We have been entirely too understanding and kind to the conservatives, the conservative traitors who have routinely tried to overthrow this country. It's only less than 250 years old. How many times have these conservatives tried to destroy this country? They never stop. They never stop. All right. Listen. Where's Boudica? We got Francis. We got Tara Jr. Oh, look at Buddha. Hi, baby booty. Wait a minute. She's cute. Can we see her? Wait. Oh, wrong camera. Oh, she moved. Oh, well. She was looking very cute there for a second. I was trying to get the camera up to show you. All right, guys. Listen, guys. Come back on Friday. If you are not subscriber, hit the like and subscribe and the notification so you will know when we go live. And that'll be on Friday at 8:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hang out on our regular Friday night gathering. But in the meantime, remember. Well, get Thom Hartmann's book, by the way. It's great. And we will win. Yeah, where's Ray Ray? Ray. He's probably in the bedroom. Laying on the bed. We will win. Because we're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Charlie from APS Radio News. Thank you, Thom Hartmann from the Thom Hartmann universe. And thank you, Jim, for being a moderator and non-useful for your super chat. And patrons for keeping the show going and growing at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. We will win. My name is Tara Devlin. We will win. We will. It's going to be rough, but we will win. And I will see you on Friday night.